Good job.
Thank you, Jewel Candy. We are so blessed to have you with us. I've kind of got like a swimmer's ear going on. I have no idea. I'm not hearing like, I'm hearing like through a tunnel. So I hope that you're hearing okay out there. Before I start this morning, I want to say thank you to Ann Elliott and to her granddaughter, Garrett, for our new flag. So today we start a series called Diamonds in the Rough, and today we'll do part one, the cut. Now I think all of us can kind of get a feeling that sometimes we feel like we're diamonds in the rough. We're just not feeling quite polished. Every once in a while we may feel like that we're beautiful and we're shining and the light is totally going through us. But other times we just kind of feel like we're not there yet. So, you know, I like to use metaphors, and this metaphor means so much to me. I've used it before. I used it on Mother's Day talk a long time ago in regards to my mother's ring. But, you know how things happen to me. So anyway, I set out to do this talk, and I decided I would do it as a series. And so I sat down and I'm going, okay, I'm going to do a series on using the metaphor of diamonds, and I'll do it over 4 parts. And I got up Monday morning, actually Sunday night, when I got into Michigan. And my almost son-in-law said to me, "We finally bought the ring. You want to see it?" So the diamond started appearing in my life. My daughter is finally going to get married after 2 children. But it is the love of her life, and I understand why it has taken this long. So anyway, there are 4 C's to the idea of the diamond. There is the cut. There is the carat, which is the weight of the diamond. There is the clarity, which is how strong and beautiful the brilliance comes through. And then there is the color, because there are not only clear, colorless diamonds, but there's colors of diamonds in all sorts of yellow and brown and chocolate and blue and in green and in violet and in orange and in red. So we'll get into those along the line. But actually, this series is not just about the diamond. It is about the qualities of love. And so as I've developed this series, I have developed where the qualities of love show up. So when I think about the idea of the cut of the diamond, I am thinking about the quality of awareness and listening until the diamond tells you where it needs to be cut, until the master cutter knows. Every rock is different, so every master cutter has to spend the time listening and becoming aware of the gift within that diamond before they make that very first cut. When I think about the idea of the carat, the weight of the diamond, how strong is the weight of the diamond, I think about the qualities of forgiveness and acceptance and of the quality of generosity of spirit. And that will be next week's talk. When I think about the clarity of the diamond, I think about how it's not just good enough to love. It's the awareness that comes through the special way we love, compassion and kindness, that brings out the clear love, the unconditional love. And finally, when I think of the color, because colors give abundance to our life, I think of the idea of giving and receiving, and we will cover all those in the next 4 weeks. So what is the history of the diamonds in regards to the history of humanity? Well, you know, diamonds were formed 1 to 3 billion years ago. It has taken from 25% to 75% of the time that the Earth has been here to form a diamond. They are formed in the Earth's mantle, 87 to 118 feet deep. Very deep, miles deep, not feet, miles, excuse me. Very, very deep. Deep within us. You get our spirit. You know, they're formed, it takes time. It takes time, a lot of pressure and a lot of temperature. You know, you get the feeling when you think of a diamond and you think about the quality of love within us. It just doesn't happen overnight. It's formed from deep within us. Diamonds come to the surface through a deep volcanic action that brings them forth through the magma. And they come up in different parts of the world. And when you think of humanity and you think of love, you know, it comes from deep within us to the surface. It is not a surface thing. It's not a surface action. So let's talk a little bit about the master cutter. When we think of the master cutter, we often think of the master. And he put it this way in the Gospel of John, chapter 15. You did not choose me, but I chose you. And I appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask him in my name. I have given you these commands so that you may love one another. So we are chosen to be the expression of love. It's not something that we earn. It's not something that we develop the skills alone, all by ourselves. We have been chosen, folks. This is deep within us. It's going to develop whether we like it or not. It may take 25% of the time we're on earth, and it may take 75% of the time that we're on earth. But love will develop. It will take a lot of heat. It will take a lot of pressure, but it will develop. A master cutter needs to have the skills, the knowledge, the science, the tools, and the experience to work with a diamond. He doesn't go out and pick up a diamond in the rough and go, oh boy, let's crack this one open. He studies it. He finds out where the light is hitting it. He spends time being in that place where he can focus so that he can see everything about that. He knows that the love of what he's doing will beget the love of the end product. He wants the highest and the best out of that rock. He understands it took a long time for that rock to develop. He wants to develop it even more into the beauty that it is, into the warmth that it is. So, here we are with this rock. And so the cutter focuses. Now after the master cutter gets so that he's done this enough and he's worked with a lot of diamonds, might not take him as long because the skill has developed, the knowledge has developed. But still he's in focus. My little 5-year-old grandson is taking karate. And he's in the basic class. And one of the basic principles in the basic class is focus. Now, sometimes we're like 5-year-olds. And even though the master teacher is saying, sit down and focus, we find our attention goes here, goes there, goes off someplace else. And we miss the instruction. This often happens when we are developing love in our lives. We lose our focus, even though that master within us is saying, sit down and focus. Spend some time in meditation. Take this situation and allow it to feed you. There's this wonderful thing about the diamond in that there are many cuts that come out of the diamond. When the master cutter looks at the diamond, he may see a marquee, which is kind of a triangular. He may see a pear shape. He may see the round shape. He may see an emerald cut. He may see one of several specific cuts other than that. The way he sees it is he starts to develop seeing the light within the stone. And Martin Luther King said this, that only in the darkness can you see the stars. Only in darkness can you see the stars. If the master cutter is not sitting with the darkness, if we're not sitting in the darkness and not feeling love, we're not going to feel, we're not going to see the sparkle of the stars. Diamonds sparkle because of the light. We need to be exposed to the light to allow the light to work through us so we can sparkle in our own lives. The master cutter that Christ within us knows where the light will best bless the rock to bring forth its splendor. So you see, God knows us. God knows we're not all the same. God knows in our rough spaces, some of us are marquee, some of us are pear-shaped, some of us are round, some of us have many facets, some of us have big carrots, some of us have lots of color, some of us are colorless. We're quiet, we're small. It doesn't mean that we are not every much as bit the diamond. We just have to get polished. There, in the shape, you have to see that there is a symmetry in the shape, there is a proportion in the shape, and there is a weight in the shape. It's just like the master cutter is like anybody who's sculpturing. It is not that you go in and you make it, it's what you take away from it to allow the beauty to be exposed. The first strike is the most important strike. It will make or break the gem. And so it is done very, very carefully. How often have we, in our walk with trying to be loved or trying to receive love, have been struck or have struck in a way that wasn't carefully done? And we have felt like damaged goods. We have felt like we have not been the highest and best that we can do. It's so important to take that time. The first strike is the strike that says, I so appreciate you. I so appreciate the roughness of this diamond and all the potential in the diamond. I am so grateful that this diamond has come to the surface in a way that it is in my life. There aren't that many diamonds in the world. We'd like to think they are, but if they were, they wouldn't be as precious, would they? But the diamonds come into our life, just like the love opportunities come into our life. Just like the love opportunities. My daughter, my granddaughter is a year and a half old now. I haven't seen her since she was 9 months. And when I've been talking to my daughter would say, she's sassy, she's sassy. And I'm going, okay. No, you don't understand, she's sassy. I met my granddaughter, all I could think of is, Cheryl, she's just like you were at that age. Just love her. Listening is the way that we get to know each other. The way that the master cutter gets to know the rock. We listen to the master cutter listens to us. Master cutter knows our needs. Before we're even there, he knows the needs. But oftentimes what we listen to is on the fly. We listen to words. We don't listen to everything about an individual. We don't listen to the tone. We don't listen to the body language. We don't listen to the perceptions that people think of when they try to give us that information. And we don't listen to the assumptions that are being made, ours and theirs. This is how we get to love. One of the people who I so respect about listening is Mark Nepo. I don't know how familiar you are with Mark Nepo. But Mark, when he wrote this book, 7,000 Ways to Listen, was already going deaf and learning that he was not going to be able to listen with his ears anymore. But this book was written before he had gotten there. And you can tell by his words that he was already well on his way to listening far beyond words, because we listen with our eyes, we listen with our sight, we listen with our taste, our senses, every sense, we listen with our heart. He says, it is a purpose and gift of love, is to awaken and reawaken what is dormant within us. Then, when awake, it is our responsibility to stay awake and keep the gift alive. We do this by deep listening, not toward a goal or even toward a noble ambition, but as a way of life. Staying devoted to listening with our heart more than once to everything. This is a long passage, but he's such a poet, and when I read this, it meant so much to me that I'm going to read it to you. So much depends on whether we see everything we meet as alive or inert. When we meet things looking for the life they hold, we tend to listen and receive. We tend to engage and join. When we meet things as lifeless and inert, we tend to observe and manipulate. How we move through the world depends on whether we view everything we meet as self-contained or as containing all of life. If I see a stone as merely an object in the way, or as some weight I can use, I am drawn into a limited plane of living that is governed by problem solving. This piece fits here, this one does not, this piece will help me get over there, this one is in the way. Being so strategic, it may shorten my to-do list, but it doesn't open me up. With no sense of how things are connected, I may move things along without ever being touched by life. But I can hold that stone with enough presence and attention to realize its journey over centuries, that raw diamond, how it wasn't always solid, how its minerals coalesced, how it felt the thud and press of every horse, car, and road placed upon it. I might feel a deeper connection to the earth that might broaden my perspective beyond the confines of my individual life. One of the purposes of listening is to break our self-reference. Listening beyond our own silhouette, each thing we encounter is alive, be it a stone, a dragonfly, a symphony, or a peach. And each thing in its aliveness encodes and mirrors the whole of life in its own way. I could go on. I just love this gentleman's poetry. Listening is so much more than hearing what's going on, so much more than reading an email or doing a text. It's something far beyond. So how do we get to that place? With a diamond, the cutter knows that there are two ways that they can go. They can listen long enough so they really feel that it is the moment, and they can cleave it. Or they can go for a cut by a saw, which will take longer. But what they know is after they've made that cut, then they have to polish. And polishing is time-consuming. And so when we're developed in love, I like to think of the idea of, here's this diamond, an engagement ring. What is engagement? But being in that place where we listen to each other. It's the opportunity for the two people who are in that place of love to hear from a deeper level, to know if the journey that they're about to begin will strengthen them, or if it's the wrong one. Then there's also this idea that every rock, including every one of us, contains a bit of a flaw. Very, very seldom is a diamond found to be flawless. And so when the rock is cleaved, when it is cut, then part of the deal is to figure out what needs to be kept, how the flaws can be minimized and brought into the beauty in the polishing, or should they be removed? You see, each one of us has these flaws, and each one of us, when we're dealing in love with ourselves and with others, must make these choices through our master cutter to determine what flaws are worth keeping that we can enhance upon and what flaws really need removing. So I would like you to know that you are your master cutter of your own soul. It is that Christ within you. Your challenge this week is to have that exact knowing of when to cut your diamond, when to bring a little bit more polish to it. And you do this by communicating with your master cutter. Martin Luther King says, "I have decided to stay with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear." And so as you go forward this week, when you hit those places where you find things that you don't particularly like, think of the diamond. You are a diamond in the rough. You are a beauty of your own. What will you keep? Will you keep love? The blessing that you will receive is that a rare and magnificent end result where light shows through you in countless colorful ways. God bless you.